Good evening, bookhos. Today we will talk about how I have survived the thralls of grad school for an entire month. Hello and welcome to Book Hoarding by Bianca. I am Bianca. Today I'm going to talk to you about the 1 month milestone of surviving grad school for costume design. I'd mentioned before I want to do some vlogs about just like the process, doing things. I've had some Twitter threads that I've been doing, and I've put a lot of those into a blog if you're no longer on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, because I want you to know what I'm doing, and I want this to feel accessible, and I want people who might be considering doing the same thing to just know what's up and what it's like. So, surviving the horrors of grad school, I need to add a layer of extra scariness, horror. I can't have coffee right now. Why, you might be asking, can I not have coffee? Well, you see, I drank a lot of coffee for many years, a long time, did not take care of my stomach. And then, like, as most women, or anyone, I guess, with like a uterus, if you have certain kinds of like pain, your feelings are often diminished. Instead of dealing and treating the pain, you're told to just take pain meds. So I've spent a large part of my life just being told to take ibuprofen, and I've also consumed a buttload of coffee. So my stomach's kind of trash right now. That just means that I have acid reflux that like got really bad and just wouldn't go away with Tums or Pepto, and now I've had to be on like a very restricted diet for a very long time. I'm not going to go into all of that. I'm not trying to make this like a health and wellness thing, but just giving you an idea. I can't have coffee or caffeinated tea right now, and I have to go through grad school like this. Man, it is rough. Regardless of my new very bland food offerings that I am enjoying all season long, I am surviving grad school. And honestly, I have a few things off the top that I just want to talk about in terms of like overall feelings, thoughts. I actually have really enjoyed my art classes. So for those who have not been paying attention, I'm taking 3 classes. That's full-time for grad students, at least everywhere I've been. I had someone comment recently that they don't think that's full-time, and I'm like, well, it has been at every place that I've gone for grad school, which is now 2 places. I think that like what's been really fun is just like that this is like really structured to be like a combination of like, yeah, you're taking like I'm taking like a costume design class every semester essentially, and it's all different themes. So this semester I'm doing theatrical. I think next semester it is conceptual theater and opera, and then we get into movie stuff, which is honestly, let's be real, that's why I'm here. But with this, it's really exciting because I can also take other classes related to this kind of work. And so they have a very specific list of classes that I am supposed to take for my degree. And I'm taking what I call Fashion History Light, which has been interesting and fun. We are now in the 1920s this week, actually. We're in the 20s, which means next week we'll be in the 30s. So we've been going decade by decade in the kind of the designer heavy era since Victorian era. It's fine, it's interesting. I think that like this was the part of like my fashion history proper class that I took at community college that we didn't get to do as much in the weeds on, because like that's a class that has to cover the entirety of all of fashion history. So this is actually really fun for me because differentiating all the decades and all the designers has not been a thing I've been great at, but it's really helpful, especially if you're going to be doing historical costuming or vintage costuming or any of those things, or design around those, because knowing these little things and like the best places to research. And also I've learned a ton about designers that I had no idea about. But the other thing is I am also taking a jewelry making class, and it was just an option. I could take construction 101 again, and I'd already taken 3 levels at community college, so I decided to take a jewelry class. So it's really cool, and I am just really enjoying the fact that like these art classes are really pushing you to just be creative. Like there's no real roadblocks other than like the assignment is make a bracelet, you know, or mock up some ideas for a thing. And just knowing that like I have a lot of freedom and room and I can be really funky and do really cool stuff is really, it's just nice. I don't know, like I've definitely had to readjust my brain because I'm so used to honestly humanities spaces, which I feel like are really limiting in a lot of ways. Hot take. Especially I feel like older professors, I feel like a lot of older professors in spaces don't keep up with kind of current trends and conversation, so you feel really limited to just what they understand and what they think is okay. So being in a really artsy space is nice because it's just very open and very freeing. That being said, is kind of terrifying because I'm like, I have to just like come up with ideas for jewelry. Like I wouldn't call myself like a jewelry person, but like I have to come up with all these like really cool conceptual ideas. And like one of the things is mood boarding, which I really want to make a video about doing maybe later in the semester, because I've had to do a ton of them for classes. And I don't know, I think maybe I can talk to you about digital collaging and physical collaging and like the points of that and like my tips if you want that. I don't know, it's a thing I have to do a lot though. So yeah, just getting a handle on your creativity, like your inspiration points, all of those things, and then being like, I have to go back to this mood board, to this collage as I'm making a thing, and it reminds you of like, okay, well then in my collage next time I need to make sure I have ABC points instead of just having them in my head. It's just fascinating. But yeah, I have a lot of freedom. I'm excited about my jewelry stuff that I'm making. Like my kind of thematic project that I'm working on is called A Letter to My Rabbit. Which is just going to be a series of epistolary like letters that accompany jewelry, which I think is really fun. I've just been trying to have a lot of fun and like tap back into being really creative and not being really limited in things, which is, if you've been in that kind of space, I think that like it's a hard adjustment to come back to being like, I can just open my eyes to like anything instead of being really like, this is the one pathway forward. So I'm trying to balance that. With my costume design class, I am designing I've made at this point, by the time you see this video, I will have made major edits to rough sketches of and made final renderings probably by this point of my costume design for Lysistrata. It's been fun but terrifying. I'm not a huge fan of illustration, as many of you who followed along might know. I had to do 2 classes that were illustration heavy last spring, but I got through that, and honestly it's really helpful here. Although I will say what I love about my costume design thing is that we were told not to do the 10 head figure because it's not realistic. And I love that. I'm like, yeah, fuck the 10 head figure. Like, it is not made for real people. It is intentionally exaggerated. Like, I get understanding proportions for things and starting people off with a very basic thing, but that doesn't really help you draw real people. And I get that like a lot of fashion is still using exaggerated things, but I think the future of fashion is about designing for real people. It's just really affirming to be like, my teacher doesn't use that because she doesn't think those are realistic, because they're not. Hurrah! I will just insert here some examples of the mood boards I spent a lot of time on for my class, my collages for my Lysistrata thing. And then also here are some examples of the renderings, illustrations that I've done, just so that you can get a look, see a little preview. These are not going to be the final thing, probably for my final presentation. These are just previews. Patrons actually already got to see these a while ago, because they get first look at all my creative process things. Isn't that great? You should be a patron. It supports me and helps me pay for school supplies when my school withholds my scholarship until deep into the semester. I'm just saying. I guess popping back to jewelry design too, like developing from like the collage, which I will just insert here. Look at my beautiful little rabbit collage. Isn't it cute and funny? It's been fun to learn a new skill. Jewelry making is something that I had no understanding of, really, truly. And learning to like saw things and like anneal things, making my own chainmail, like insert here, like you will see here examples of like the activities I've done for class, and it's really cool. Like I want to make some chainmail jewelry things for some of my projects, just because I think it's really pretty. It's like I like using the oversized rings, I like using them in copper. I think that that's like a different aesthetic, and also if you're not wearing chainmail of copper, it's a lot easier to wear because it's heavier. For people who don't know, I don't know. A lot of like modern chainmail stuff that you see, especially the kits, are made from aluminum. It's easier, it's lighter. Copper is obviously heavier, so you wouldn't want to wear a lot of tiny chains as like a full chainmail thing. But when I talk about chainmail, I mean like little, like you're using the same patterns and then you're making little pieces of it to put charms on or to make, you know, necklaces and other cool things. So yeah, those are some examples of some of the stuff I've been doing. I think overall it's just been a process of making sure that I have a time for everything. I am very busy. I still have a job that I need to do. I have a partner I need to take care of and love and adore and spend time with. I have rabbits that need my attention because they're so damn cute and fluffy. And then I have like a lot of sewing that I want to do as I look longingly at the wool pile that I have. Actually I'm sitting on some wool as well, some autumnal wool that I really want to make something out of. And maybe after I edit some videos this afternoon, I can finally get to it. On top of that, like my grandma, you know, her Alzheimer's stuff is kind of rough. We found some caregiving resources though that have been helpful, but it's hard, right? It's hard to see the person who raised you slowly not know things and be confused and scared all the time about things that aren't real. She just gets, you know, she watches TV commercials and suddenly she thinks those people are in their house. So it's just a lot. But I'm trying really hard to just like keep y'all updated, stay on top of my work, find times to have fun and celebrate things. These are my meanderings. I am just trying to exist and not get overwhelmed. I definitely feel like the benefit of these classes being really creative and really like scratching those creative itches that I have of like, one, wanting to learn way more about a thing that I really love, like costume design, and two, always needing to have something new, needing to have something like new and fresh and fun, which is jewelry, and then also the costume history part, right? Because I love the costume history part, like, or fashion history, but it's really going into that and like in minutia, which is really fun, and learning new designers and getting more into like the eras than I got to before. It's really inspiring. I want to thank you so much for being here, patrons. Again, like, you get to see my creative stuff first because you're the ones that are really helping me consistently, supporting me and being wonderful and darling as I go through school continuously. And I just want to keep sharing what I'm learning. At the end of the semester, I will be doing a wrap-up. I probably do like 1 or 2 more vlogs, but I will do a wrap-up, and patrons will get to ask me questions about my first semester of costume design. So if you want to ask me questions or get the inside look, that's how you're going to do it. Link in my description if you want to just help pay for, I don't know, thread for serger thread or whatever. You can leave me a tip on coffee. That will also be helpful. Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. I hope that whoever you are, you are finding ways to take care of yourself. Thank you so much for joining me, and don't forget to make it so.